A unification bout is expected to take place on April 30th at Las Vegas's MGM Grand between the top two boxing junior lightweights. The fans are clamoring to see the intense face-off between the super featherweight champions Shakur Stevenson and Oscar Valdez, because the outcome of this match will be momentous indeed. Are you curious about who will win this compelling clash? Will it be the supremely gifted southpaw style of Shakur Stevenson, or the action-packed boxing style of Valdez? Keep watching to find out everything that you need to know about Oscar Valdez versus Shakur Stevenson, and the fighters' boxing styles, strengths, and weaknesses. Now, let's begin. It would be an understatement to say that this fight has been brewing for several years now. When Valdez and Stevenson were competing at featherweight, Stevenson became Valdez's mandatory challenger due to his unbroken series of solid wins. But then Valdez moved up to 130 and went to acclimating with a couple of fights before totally stunning Miguel Berchelt for the WBC belt. And now, it's finally time that the two champions are squaring off in the ring after a long wait. Now, what are the sentiments of the fighters in question? Well, they are more than ready to beat the other into complete submission, that's for sure. According to Valdez, quote, "I want to make it clear that I am the best 130-pound fighter in the world. We know Shakur Stevenson is very good at fighting, but he's even better at social media. I'll let my fists speak for themselves." Damn, now that is a direct hit to the solar plexus, metaphorically speaking. But Stevenson hasn't backed down either, and is more than willing to heat things up even more before the match has even begun. Here's what Stevenson had to say about it. Quote, "I have been chasing this fight for nearly 3 years since we were both at featherweight. On April 30th, I'm going to show him and the world why he ducked me all this time. I'm the best young fighter in the world, and I will become unified champion." So yeah, things are looking pretty exciting, and we can't wait to see these two great fighters take to the ring and decide who the real champion is. Now let's talk about the strengths and weaknesses found in the fighting styles of Valdez and Stevenson. Oscar Valdez. The 31-year-old Oscar Valdez famously represented Mexico at the 2008 and 2012 Olympic Games. On top of that, Valdez holds world title belts at 122 and 126 pounds. So yeah, I wouldn't mess with a guy who has such an impressive fighting resume. Valdez is actually a top-notch sensation in the super featherweight league, and since his debut, he's put on remarkably blistering performances for boxing lovers. But most importantly, the Mexican fighter is a world champion in 2 weight classes, and he has held the WBC super featherweight title since last year. Now onto Valdez's incredible fighting style. With a reach of 66 inches or 168 centimeters, Valdez tends to meet his opponents aggressively. His orthodox style and offensive style of fighting are truly a sight to behold during the fight. One thing that really stands out about Valdez is his tendency to assault his rival the second he sets foot in the wrong. Anyway, this in-your-face has greatly helped Valdez in winning vertical 29 times in 29 fights. What a legend, honestly. Known for his impressive punching combinations, incredible punching power, and aggressive fighting style, Valdez has a 77% knockout-to-win percentage. Pretty good, right? Strengths. Number 1. Complete defense. Valdez seems to have every defensive tool in his arsenal. His head movement to dodge punches is great, and he generally keeps up a good, tight guard to protect himself. He knows how to use his feet, feint cleverly, roll with the punches, and parry with his gloves like a total expert. Number 2. Left hook. Using his awesome left hook like a cruel Swiss Army knife, Valdez lands punches where they really matter. His left hook is extremely precise, and painful too, and he can fire them in succession. What a shame he doesn't pack much power into it, but it's still a great weapon. Number 3. Angles and punch variation. It must be noted that Valdez can use both hands to punch effectively, and he varies his angles and combos by changing leverage from side to side. He can seamlessly move from an uppercut to hook to a jab. And hey, it's a pretty impressive sight. Weaknesses. Number 1. Slow counterpunching. Valdez might pack a nice, hard left hook, but his counterpunching leaves much to be desired. His timing is often off, and he misses the opportunity when his opponent is vulnerable due to his off-rhythm counters. Number 2. Size. Standing at barely 5'6", Valdez is unfortunately quite short for a featherweight, and with no way around his height disadvantage, Valdez's game plan is affected horribly. Number 3. Distance control. Maintaining the distance from his opponent is obviously affected by his short height, which means that Valdez is usually in the range of his enemy, and that means the poor guy has to eat a lot of punches. Now, let's talk about Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson. The 24-year-old Shakur Stevenson debuted only 5 years ago, but in that time, he has rightfully earned the formidable moniker of Fearless. The Olympic silver medalist turned top-ranked prodigy made an impact as a very decorated amateur, and he has no plans of stopping anytime soon. The fighter is ranked number 1 in the 130-pound weight class, and he also has the honor of holding the World Boxing Organization World Super Feather title. Alright, so that's all for this introduction, because it's about time we discussed how Stevenson works his magic in the ring. Fighting style. As a dedicated southpaw-style fighter, Stevenson always skillfully uses his 68-inch reach to his advantage. He has the style of a pure boxer, so he doesn't really stand out compared to the more flashy fighters like Loma. Moreover, Stevenson has often been called out for not making dominant performances into stoppages. I mean, it's kind of true because only half of Stevenson's wins come from knockout, but it's his fighting IQ and confidence that really defines his style, to be honest. Strengths. Number 1. Footwork. It really is no surprise that a lithe and short guy like Stevenson is super agile and nimble. His footwork is truly incredible, and the way he shifts in and out of range constantly and quickly is really something his opponents should be wary of. Number 2. Control range. As I said, Stevenson moves his feet lightning fast, so obviously he can expertly control his range as well. Rather than moving around excessively though, he chooses to stay within range, but move his feet so fast that his opponents usually miss their shots. Number 3. Ring IQ. Stevenson may be young, but he has an impressive ring IQ and keeps his eyes peeled for a lot of movement in the ring. His eyes track his opponent's movement relentlessly, and this makes it hard for others to take him down because he can often predict an attack before it comes. So combine his sense of distance, defense, footwork, and punch selection with a great jab, and you've got a recipe for a pretty formidable player. Weaknesses. Number 1. Overconfidence. Stevenson is often cocky to a fault, and his brash self-promotion can be seriously harmful to his career if he doesn't rein it in. He's even said this, quote, "I'm the smartest boxer in boxing. I'm the next Floyd. I'm the next Sugar Ray. It is what it is." Now, that oozes more arrogance and overconfidence than simply being self-assured. So his ego can be a hindrance to him when he is matched up with a great player who might take him down. Number 2. Unwilling to dominate. Anyone who has watched Stevenson fight knows that he's pretty unmotivated about dominating by stoppage. His KO rate is pretty paltry for a fighter like him, and it almost seems as if he doesn't like to take his chances in the ring, even if they might secure him a lot more popularity. He could be taking a turn in that regard, as he absolutely dominated Jamel Herring in the last fight. Let's just hope this turns out to be true. Who will win? Alright, so time to consider the outcome of this much-anticipated fight between Oscar Valdez and Shakur Stevenson. According to Stevenson, quote, "I have been chasing this fight for nearly 3 years since we were both at featherweight. On April 30th, I'm going to show him and the world why he ducked me all this time. I'm the best young fighter in the world, and I will become a unified champion." But Valdez is nothing if not a great retaliator, inside and outside of the ring. He says, quote, "I want to make it clear that I am the best 130-pound fighter in the world," Valdez said. "We know Shakur Stevenson is very good at fighting, but he's even better at social media. I'll let my fists speak for themselves." He adds, quote, "What better way to do it than against a great fighter like Shakur, a fighter that has been calling me out for quite some time already. more than a couple of years already. Wow, that pretty much sums up the confidence level of both fighters. So, yeah, it's still up for debate who will win this match. However, we know that Valdez is a veteran fighter, and Stevenson is still an amateur. Not only that, but Valdez has a great defense, packs a mean left hook, and his KO percentage is simply way higher than Stevenson's. So the odds are we'll be seeing Valdez crowned as the champion this time around. And that's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. We'll be back with more soon. Till then, adios!